Let's see. Welcome everyone to the Mastermind Book Club. Thank you for coming on and listening to these very important and brief information on our latest book, which is One Small Step Can Change Your Life, by Dr. Robert Maurer. This book is very important. Uh, it goes along with the topics that we've been going over, which is the main topic right now is success mindset. Now, most of us, when we read, why is it that we read? Usually for one of a few things. It could be because you want to stimulate your brain, mental stimulation, stress reduction, to increase knowledge for vocabulary building, memory improvement, stronger and analytical thinking skills, improve focus and concentration, better writing skills, tranquility, or free entertainment. Yes, you can get these books for free in the library, usually, or you can get them for free on audiobooks and YouTube. Some of these audiobooks go on YouTube and then they come off because obviously it depends on who's putting them on, who has the authorization. But what we're doing is we're utilizing as best we can what we have. Again, I do recommend people that eventually, when you can afford it, great, purchase it, because these are the treasures that we leave our kids, our loved ones, as a guide to continuing your path in life and whatever it may be. These are some of the reasons why we read. Yours could be different. It could be completely different than what I just described. But one thing is for certain. The more we read, the more we build a habit, the more we learn, the more we can teach others, the more we can practice in whatever it is that we're doing. So in this Mastermind Book Club, the focus are 4 specific topics. Again, success mindset, which is the topic that we're hitting right now. When we read, we usually read one book on one topic and then we move on to whatever it may be. Picking up another book, thinking that it's about the same type of topic, will assist you in gaining more knowledge on that specific topic. But when we jump around, we're not certain about the books that we're reading. How do we grasp the knowledge for that specific book, for that specific type of skill? As building a successful mindset is very important, and knowing which books to read is even more important. In the last 10 days, I've been told by many people, oh, let's do this book, let's do this book. So I asked them, what's the focus on the book? And they don't know. And I said, well, let me give you these 4 topics. Which one is it focusing on? They still don't know. So I've told them, just like I tell anyone, that a lot of what we read comes with a certain focus, but it's not easy to depict unless you have either heard it or read it in the past. So one book is not enough to specialize in any field. And one of the basic skills in the building of a successful mindset is doing it over and over again. And in the last few weeks that I've heard, I'd say 6 or 7 books on success mindset, I've heard some of the same things repeated over and over. And that helps to build that no matter what your interest in life is, you're going to hear it from a few different sources. And that only reinforces that whatever you're learning, it was learned from somewhere else. And these people now are collaborating the same ideas, as such as the advantage to learning from a few different authors. Now, there's a 5th reason why we have this book club, and it's to help your book writing skills, which is really important. For those of you who've written a chapter or a collaborative or your own book, just like I have, it's really important to continue either reading or listening to books. The more you listen or you read, the easier it becomes. the beginning, I couldn't listen to a book. I had to listen to it over and over and over again because I wasn't able to concentrate. And so building your listening skills is just as important. But on another note, when you start reading and reading, it also decreases the chance of you getting certain illnesses like dementia. It helps build your brain power. It helps build your knowledge account. That's one of the words that I love to use. Your knowledge account. Yes, we all have a, we have a savings account, we have a checking account, we have probably a debt account, believe it or not. Yes, some people have loans. That's another account. But some of the most important accounts have to do with knowledge building. And this is where we're focusing on in this Mastermind book club. So you see that small contract that I've made each and every one of you create. Some of you have posted it. I believe everyone's posted it here. The importance of posting a contract like that is that when you focus on doing the minimal amount, you feel good when you go over it, the remaining amount. For me, I have tacked that contract onto other parts of my day. For example, any day I contract to myself to do minimum of 20 push-ups, minimum of 20. And if I do 21, I feel fantastic. And, as I was discussing with Reggie, Reggie and I do 100 plus push-ups. I don't know how many you ladies do, but whatever your goal is, whether it's in health, in relationships, in whatever it may be, this book talks about things that I didn't know existed before I started reading this book. And sure enough, now it makes sense. Sometimes you think, oh man, I've invented this thing. No, somebody else has come across it, usually, unless you have some special ability or skill that leads you into being what is known the advantages of this book. So One Small Step Can Change Your Life by Robert Maurer. He talks about Kaizen, K-A-I-Z as in zebra, E-N, Kaizen. And what is Kaizen? Well, it's basically when you look at it's either big goals versus the small goals. Small goals referring to Kaizen. Big goals refer to innovation versus Kaizen. The amygdala is becomes triggered when you go after innovation or big goals. Usually it's triggered. But there are many, many people who have learned the skill of asking small questions to be able to be innovative in whatever it is they're doing. Like the Wright brothers when they were building their first plane, they say, can you imagine if we could come up with a way that people could transport themselves across the continent or something like that, across the Atlantic Ocean, whatever it was. That was how it started, a small question. So that's what I suggest with each and every one of you to do, is to ask yourself these small questions. If you're into relationships, just like it says in the book, if I were to meet Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so in the next 30 days, what can I do now to prepare for that? Where is the best place to meet with them? And how can I enjoy the process? If you add that to the question, I'm certain you'll be reminded of someone like Tony Robbins, which I've seen in person, and I'm certain you all have heard of. So these questions that this book is referring to is not only used by Dr. Robert Maurer, because I don't know when he came along and when Tony Robbins came along, but all of this makes sense. It's overlapping each other. One doesn't mention the other. We don't know who came first. That's by all means not necessary to know, as much it is to know that the reason we're doing these mastermind book club sessions is to make sure that we're learning one or two key things in the books we read. Now, two ways to use Kaizen is obviously to ask more questions. And if you're not sure on how to ask these small questions, who are you reaching out to in order to ask the proper questions, in order to answer the bigger um, things through small steps in your life. Because sometimes we look at the big picture and we say, I want to be an entrepreneur. Well, have you thought about asking yourself, what does it take to be an entrepreneur? What are the steps that I need to follow? What's the smallest thing that I can do on a daily basis to become an entrepreneur? How can I make an extra $100,000 in a year? Well, what are the small steps that I can do on a daily basis to be certain that I can make $100,000 within a year, which is $8,500 a month, and enjoy the process. So ask these small questions, whatever it may be, whether it's through the contract that we made, whether it's through the books that we're reading, whatever it may be. Remember, asking small questions to either be innovative or to be growing in small steps is highly, highly important. Don't ever think that it's not important. My daughter, who I practice on her specific therapies with a group here at home with the family, we started out breathing techniques 2 years ago, and we started out doing very minimal sessions on breathing. And if we look back at today from when we started, we were doing nothing, but now we're doing 40 times the amount what we started, or 50 times the amount what we started. Now, what's the second way to use Kaizen? Focus on small on small rewards. So, for example, if you accomplish a small goal, make sure you're rewarding yourself, whatever it may be. For me, I bought myself a watch. It's not an expensive watch, but any watch to me is pretty good. I don't have to have the most expensive watch yet. You know, maybe someday when I have, I don't know, multiple figure income that I can afford a watch that is that's expensive, I'll do it. But for each of you, what is your small focus for the day? What is your small focus for the week? What is your small focus for the month? Now, how do you do that? Well, for me, the biggest challenges that I've had was I put out a book and I never asked myself what were the steps that I needed to do so that this book would be successful in a marketing plan. And I have the steps, but I never followed them. I overlooked them because I didn't ask myself these questions. So what did I do? Right now, I'm rewriting my English book in Spanish, and I'm just going through it to make certain that it's proofread and that there's minimal grammatical errors. And then second, once I go through that, I worked on my website first last week. I got all the information in English. So now I'm working on my Spanish book. Then I'm going to be working on the Spanish website. And then I'm going to work on a campaign so that I can release the book. So I can't do this all at once, which is what I was trying to do in the beginning. And that's how I got lost. I activated my amygdala, according to Dr. Maurer, and I wasn't doing much. Now, I do want to ask you a very important question for those of you who could answer is, have you experienced any positive, questionable, or challenging issues in your life that have led you to see the reality that the small questions that you ask yourself can either make you or break you? If anyone wants to answer this, you're welcome to. And if you're not, I understand, because I know that each of you is doing a chore right now, an exercise, or at a business meeting, and so on. All right. So I guess we'll have
What's
you
the question
talk.
again?
The question is, have you experienced asking yourself a small question that has either assisted you in life, has created challenges, has created questions? One of the three? just like this book is about. It's about asking yourself small questions or giving yourself small rewards after accomplishing something.
I mean, I ask myself
Experience
questions every day,
any
so
of that? Yeah, you do?
I mean, all the time. I stay in an introspective space, so
Has
I mean,
it
it's always,
benefited you? Has it benefited you?
well, yeah, because I think ultimately I just get some sort of direction by asking like what next in my life without saying like why I'm, necessarily saying like why am I doing what I'm doing, but sort of like what's next in terms of my own overall development. And so with that, I kind of get some sort of call it like feedback from the universe, if you will, from
Yes.
a higher power,
And
which
you've
leads me
gotten,
to doing things like sending out, inspirational messages, to, updating my exercise regimen, to changing my diet, to just thinking about being more mindful about what I say, to like meditating more, to all of those different things. So I get some sort of like, because I get a feeling of, to some degree, of uneasiness, and I'm like, oh, I know I need to do something. So I just sort of, kind of, appeal to that higher power,
yes.
and then I get some sort of feedback, and then I sort of start to move down that path without worrying about what everyone else is doing, whether they're doing something that may be deemed more forward progress or whatever. I don't really concern myself with that because I know I have a certain path that I'm on. So I just kind of allow myself to be directed.
Reggie, have you noticed the difference of asking a specific small question versus a question that has no base?
I don't have baseless questions, but I'll ask sort of like, not necessarily sort of like, like I said, sort of what's next, like a sort of what's next question, like, in that sort of way, like in my head, sort of like what's next, and then sort of allow myself to be sort of given some sort of feedback, which is
Very
then
good.
to allow me down the path of, like I said, like, okay, I need to pick up these books that I have and read these books. I need to listen to certain audios. I need to, you know, drink more water, flush my system out, take certain things out of my diet. Just a combination of things. But so far, overall, that's been pretty good. And to just keep moving on that path so I can stay forward in that direction.
And that's very important. Most people in the world don't ask themselves, how am I doing? Do I need more water? Do I need certain types of foods? Because if you ask these questions consistently, eventually you'll develop the habit, and eventually your body will be able to communicate much easier with what it needs. So what Reggie just hit upon is very, very important. Thanks, Reggie, for sharing that. I ask myself, do I need water? And I ask myself, how am I feeling? I ask myself if I need any type of supplements or anything like that, because the more I ask, the more I will receive. And it's very important that you know how your body is, that you know how your mind is, and that you know what you need next in order to get ahead. So thanks, Reggie, for that. Anyone else want to share if you're able to?
Hi, David.
Annette, yes.
I didn't listen. I think I was listening. Well, 7 hours of the book recording. So I've been listening to bits and pieces of it. But today, one of the sections where he speaks about one of the questions to ask yourself is, what are you afraid of? When he was talking about how we have this not epidemic, but how we became the society of
Fear.
stress.
Yes, stress.
And he says that, I think that came about in I forget what. And the truth is, if you ask yourself those questions, number one question of what am I afraid of, it's not stress that's killing you or giving you problems. It's more of those things you're afraid of. So I found that whole section really, really interesting, and I want to revisit it. I think the way he mentioned how if you ask a child what are they afraid of, they just will list a bunch of things right off the bat, versus if you ask an adult, we're like scared to even mention those things,
Yes,
whatever.
that's right. That is correct. Thank you for sharing that, Annette. And Annette, have I don't know if you heard the um, the class we had, I'd say 3 weeks ago, where we told people that if they ever wanted to listen to the books quicker, that there's a way to listen to them quicker, just in case. I don't know if you know that. I'm presume you do, but just in case.
Oh yeah, but I usually listen to them while I'm driving.
Yes, same here. And most of us have plenty of time driving, and that's one of the advantages. Um, I know that there are other people on this call who are supposed to be on this call who are driving right now and are either listening to books as we speak and want to listen to this audio later on. So that's why your input is very much appreciated. And Annette, there's no rush. You go at your pace, and that's what this is about. Because you should be learning at your pace. And what we do is we'll keep a record of all the audiobooks. And if you are ever lost and you need to gain access to another audiobook, send me a question or ask one of the other people, Angela, Reggie, or anyone else that is listening to this call. So thank you for that, Annette. And Annette, have you applied this small question asking to your life at all?
Yeah, with exercise actually this week, it's easy for me to get to the gym when it's warm out, spring, summer, even fall.
Yes.
And now I have this cold weather,
Right.
it's daunting. And then I have, thank God, the gym isn't far. I have a clubhouse really a minute away from me driving. And it's just a task of getting the clothes. And I like to use the sauna. I like to use the pool. So then I got to think about the clothes I need to change into, blah, blah, blah. So I make it this big ordeal, which is unnecessary. And one of the things that got me here this week is just, even if it's whatever hassle I have to deal with the clothes and being cold and changing, whatever, just come and bring, I don't care if it's a huge bag with different shoes, sneakers, boots, who cares? Just do it, So I come into the clubhouse looking crazy, but I get it. So the small question is, am I going to let the cold or the weather scare me or stop me from doing my health regimen? And the answer is no. I have to figure it
Correct. That's right. That's right. And we need to keep asking ourselves these questions. The brain needs questions in order for it to work, in order for it to have a job, in order for it to feel it's doing something productive for you. So don't ever forget that. And when we build this habit slowly, and eventually it just becomes so natural that we don't even think about it anymore. So, Angela, I don't know if you want to collaborate here, but if you do, you're welcome. The floor is open. Annette, thank you, and Reggie as well. You guys have amazing stories. And Annette, I know that we went to see Tony Robbins. I don't know if Angela or Reggie have gone, but we learned about these questions there, although it didn't
I've
say
gone.
that way. So so you know that Tony doesn't mention it that same way, but he does use the same type of question asking skills. I just don't know which came first. And it doesn't matter which came first. It's just reassuring that we need to keep asking these questions. We need to keep asking them for whatever goal we may have or part of a goal, right? Angela, would you like to collaborate or are you busy? If you don't respond, I understand. If you need to unmute yourself, you can. If not, we're good then. All right. So we're almost at the top of our time here. And I wanted to let you know, let me just see, check my notes here. Let's see. Okay, so one of the things that I've learned today, and I came across this by accident, is that these small questions that we ask ourselves are highly important if we feel as if our questions or prayers are being answered. So, sorry, my chicken scratch. Make your thought and emotions unite. So I'm certain you've heard of faith can move mountains. So how does it move mountains? They are moved because we make our thoughts and emotions unite. Now it's not overnight. We're not going to learn it today. Maybe one of you might. I know I'm almost there. Could be 10 years, but I know I'm almost there. But whatever questions you're asking yourself, small questions, you've got to feel like it's actually happening now, like you're receiving it, like you're in the process of getting that $100,000 check or $1 million check, whatever your goal may be. All right. So don't forget to realize that if you feel it, if you think about it and you're emotional about it, then you're going to realize it eventually. All right. So we're done with this session of reviewing this book. And I wanted to let you know the name of the next audiobook. Some of you might have heard of it, the author at least. His name is Darren Hardy. Darren Hardy. And the audiobook is also about the success mindset. And it's called The Compound Effect. And I'm going to post it in our Mastermind book club. So once it's posted on there, I just wanted to just see if I can get each and every one of you to say thank you, because thank you means a lot to me. And it should to you as well. So please, once I post that book in the next few minutes, please, whenever you get a chance, even if it's tomorrow or after you hear this recording, just put thank you. I really appreciate
Thank you.
that. All right. Once
I
I
have the
post the
book.
book, that you do, look at that.
I have a lot of books, Dave. I
Reggie,
have hundreds of books probably.
and these books are highly important. They're the treasures that we take with us, that we give our kids, that we give our family members when we pass on, because they leave clues. Success leaves clues, and these books are clues. So if anyone else has anything to say before we end this call?
I was gonna
Yes,
say I actually went to Tony Robbins, by the way.
you did. Where and what year?
I went to UPW in West Palm Beach 3.5 years ago. I
So,
walked on fire the whole bit.
so 2016, 2015.
Yeah, 2016, March 2016, I went out to West Palm Beach, Florida, and I went to the UPW, Unleash the Power then.
Yes, we I know Annette and I went in 2017. I don't know if Angela or I believe Stacy, welcome to the call, Stacy, um, have gone, but I'm certain that they've heard about it. But it's amazing. It's an experience that you need to go and be there. It's like going to a rock concert.
Oh yeah.
When I was there, I was like, oh my God, this guy's like memorized all these words. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I also went recently to this guy. His name is hold on, Saguru.
Oh yes, I love Sadhguru.
I went to
Yeah.
see him at MSG a couple weekends ago.
Why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, that was really good. He had a meditation. Some people were kind of going, I don't want to say flipping, because I understand they might have been experiencing some sort of heightened experience. So there
Yes,
were people like cackling and like laughing
wow.
and crying. And some
My
people
God.
in the audience got a little freaked out and they left the auditorium because they didn't understand. He was like, I don't understand, because he's a very funny guy. He's like, I don't understand. This is New York. But I just think it was people getting to that higher place, if you will, just for lack of a better way to say it. So it was pretty good. It was thousands of people, and it was in the Hulu Theater at MSG.
Wow, wow. That's
Pretty
great.
good.
Thank you, Reggie, for sharing that, man. I love Sadhguru.
Yeah, he's really good.
He is really good. So, anyone else want to share anything before we end this call? This call will be available on recording in about 20 to 30 minutes. If you'd like to listen to the call, we try and keep these weekly calls short, maximum 30 minutes or so that everyone has a chance to listen to them as best they can. And we can all collaborate on helping our Mastermind book club grow so that we're learning from the same types of books in the same types of lessons, which our main topic for the next few weeks will be the success mindset. All right. So this is David Diaz, one of your hosts. Thank you, everyone, for making it onto this call. And again, as I said, as I post the YouTube link to listening to the next book, which is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, just reply, thank you. I'd really appreciate that. That would make it very powerful for me, meaningful, and that way everyone knows that we're collaborating together. All right? Everyone, have a great evening. Thank you. And until next week, signing off.
All right, good night.
All right. Good
Have a
night,
great
Reggie.
night.
Good night, Angela. Good night, Stacy. Good night, Annette. Take care. God bless you all.
All right, God bless. Good night.